Guys, what's going on? We have a special guest with us, Andrew from the drive-in side. Andrew, how are you, buddy?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good. I am over my break and trying to get back to work today. Oops.
Sorry, got some feedback.
That's all right. So yeah, I took a little bit of a hiatus there, and I have my
Oh, you too.
who is bugging me to put her. Hold on one second. There you go. So we got back to work, did a couple of retro videos, and then got this GM video going. It's doing really well. I think we got about I don't know, it's pretty close to 1,000 views already. Got a bunch of subscribers for it, so thank you for joining the CCFPG family. For everybody who's subscribed to the channel, what's going on with you, buddy?
I'm on hiatus too. Kind of did a life overhaul. Just kind of like, as people know, I got a new car. Got what I wanted. Fine. It took me a while, but I looked and looked and looked. Who would have knew? 30 years later, these cars are. It kind of takes some looking and kicking over rocks to really find what you want. But I did it, and I'll be back shortly with uploading some videos. But for right now, the live
show us
stream.
the picture, man. I haven't even seen the picture. I just know it's
what?
I just know. Hey. I know it's got shades. Shades.
Yes, sir. Shades yeah, it was actually a. What's that?
For that car. They only made them for a couple years.
Yeah. So can I ask you? I don't know. You saw him, and I'm not going to spoil it for everybody. But were those factory on the 93 to 97? Because I'm not. That's kind of what I'm having a hard time finding. Yeah.
Let's unmute the mic. The dog was barking.
Cool.
The factory shades were a factory. I don't know if they were option. I guess they were included with the T-top package as an accessory for. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
somewhere.
So I went through and I did a Vindicator, and I went back and looked, and it turns out that this car was actually a pretty highly optioned car. So back in the day. So, but yeah, I'm gonna do a video on it. I'm gonna do I got a few kinks to iron out here. I'm gonna be on. It's the biggest nightmare of all has been getting it titled.
Is it an SOP car, or is it just a Z? Or
it's just a Z20 6, but it is a 6-speed. It's a 6-speed black T-top manual car like I wanted. So,
what year is it?
96.
Oh, okay. So LT1 car.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's actually that. In the motor. I mean, let's be honest. The LS1's not anything amazing either in 2025, but I wanted the 93 to 97 body styles. I actually think that they look better, and I'll go into that.
I do too. I just I don't know if I could get the LS1 with that shark nose on it. I think I'd be happier. I mean, in 97, the 97 is the best of both worlds, except for the motor, because you have the newer interior and you have the old exterior, right?
Mm-hmm. Those cars are actually bringing big money. Big money.
You know what? I would have to look it up.
What's that?
That T-top option. That's my third.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure you know what? This hat's driving me crazy. One second. I got this other hat, and
what's that?
It's creasing. It's driving me crazy. I'm sure I have a book here somewhere that's got all the stats on those accessories, but
I kind of figure you'd be the man to ask. You know what I mean?
Only a couple years. They could have been a stitch longer, but they weren't many.
And you know who we should add? We should add Scott.
Scott would probably know. Scott was heavily involved in the fourth gen. So
I think we need get Scott back on because I mean, I'll have some time to get some better questions asked.
Yeah, so I mean, it's good that we're talking about that because I was going to bring it up as part of my example later
What?
as to and I hate being that guy who bashes on GM, but some of their
Yeah.
engineering got us to where we are today.
Well, nothing's perfect. You know
And
what I
that
mean?
LT1 is a prime example of poor engineering. Reverse cooling and that whole OptiSpark behind the water pump, and
Yes.
it's the number one failure of those motors, right? So
Yes. Yep.
yeah. So where do you want to start? We'll start with the recall, the lawsuits, all that you want me to bring up on the screen here.
Heck yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that.
So I'll put it up here and you can start with it, buddy.
Okay. That was actually another something that we can get into later if you want. But the class action lawsuit, I believe this started in 2016. I think they had a little, but this was like the 22-24 update. Here's the shocking thing. Well, so can I ask you, what do you know about it thus far, Mark?
The recall?
The class action lawsuit. Well, the recall. They actually don't have a recall as far as like the oil consumption
No.
problems for the Gen 5 LTs. It's actually very shocking. And the first person I heard talk about this was actually Justin White on the Was he on the Bogetti podcast? I don't know. He went on a tirade there to where it was just like boom, boom, boom. He was jumping podcast from podcast. But in one of them, I did hear him say something about oil consumption, and
Right.
And the moment that you brought that up to me or got a hold of me, it brought that to the front of my mind. And the whole thing is that what was it? The numbers were actually really, really shocking because if you back up, just Google's AI Grok or whatever it is, it says that they have in a court for every 2,000 miles.
Yeah. I did a video on
GM's
years ago.
What's that?
I did it. They keep moving the goalposts as it would appear.
Yeah.
So
but GM's okay with this.
I just Googled this and it says LSX engines are generally known for oil consumption. A normal LSX engine might use up to a half a quart every 2,000 miles. And I will tell you that based on the comments that I've gotten on numerous videos, we're seeing that plus, we're seeing that plus. Like I have guys who have put comments in there saying that they're going through a quart of oil every 2,000 miles. I think it was even one that was worse than that.
And absolutely. Well, that's what GM is
benchmark. I think is 1 quart for every 2,500 miles.
Yes. The one that I saw was 1 quart for every 2,000 miles, and GM is recognizing that and saying that's normal. Yeah. That's the problem where I have with this, because there's a lot of people that don't really, I mean, there's a lot of people that never touch their car. They never, you know what I mean? And now that, GM has got oil change durations, 7,500 miles, I think is what we're at right now.
Honestly, so we'll get into some tips after, but that is the worst thing you can ever do is follow that oil life monitor. And I know, people will say, well, that's what it's there for, right?
Yeah.
We all get busy. Yeah. I get it. But, that, and if you follow like Lake, the Motor Geek, and those guys, they'll tell you, don't follow that thing. That is the worst mistake you'll ever make, because
absolutely,
you have to change it every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. And yes, oil is expensive, but oil is cheap compared to motors.
Boom. I actually change mine I just change mine every 30 days. and catch can and switching. Yeah, I've
I
said
was
that for a long time.
I was not a big fan. I was not a big fan of um I was not a big fan of couch cans, but now I'm beginning to become a bigger fan of them. And it listen, this just for the record, this is not just a GM problem. They all have it. Okay. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know, highly contested by some people. Yes, I drive an F-150. It was my father's truck, and
Oh, oh, okay, okay.
you know, um, my Avalanche, as much as I'd love, it, was getting up 300,000 miles, and it was starting to show its age. So I got a truck with low miles on it, and yes, it's a 5 liter. It's not a V6. It's a V8. But even them, even the newer ones are having problems. So I follow a lot of Ford stuff too, right?
Mhm.
Even they're having tons of oil. So it's not just a GM.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
they are having monsters. I mean, they're replacing motors in Fords. I read a lot of it. Guys have a bad oil consumption. They change dipsticks and do all kinds of stuff, and then eventually, if it's still under warranty, they replace the motor. So it's not just a GM thing. So
No, no, no. I think that flat plane crank that what was that the Voodoo? I don't follow Ford that.
it is a
No,
flatbed.
is that the 5.2 flat plane?
Yeah, yeah.
That thing was really. I was reading on that thing that had some real problems. But the one thing I was reading with this was um, the what
So
GM.
just to interrupt you real quickly, and
Go ahead.
listen,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
it seems like Ford's got their stuff together when it comes to the trucks, and
Okay.
but when it comes to the cars, I still say that 6.2 is a better motor. Even though I mean I get it, one's a push rod, one's not, right? But when it comes to the trucks just eat GM's lunch when it comes to the truck market, right? In the motors, but when it comes to the cars, that 6.2, it's and you know what I like the marketing around the Ford with their names and the Coyote, the Godzilla, the
Yeah.
Voodoo.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool marketing, right? So sorry, carry on.
No, you're fine. The one thing that I was going to say in here was GM did recognize that it is kind of a problem, simply because over a duration of 7,500 miles, that's three, almost four quarts.
Yeah.
What's because the only thing I'm really familiar with is what the Camaro took, and that was like 11 quarts or 10 quarts. What is the average car take nowadays? 4.5, 5 quarts?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you don't even touch your car by you're starving by the
Mhm.
time. So if it consumes 3.5, 4 quarts, you know what I mean. You're got a half a quart to a quart trying to circulate and do its job, and it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I guess we're okay with GM saying normal. That's kind of like BMW did back in the day when that V10 in the
Mhm.
M5, and they're saying oil or connecting rods are just regular maintenance now. I
Yeah.
mean, this is insane to me. Growing up the way I did, and we didn't have these problems with, but we're the consumers demanding more from the car. Every cylinder has to have a bigger boom in it now, and so this is kind of the end result of more, 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 more. So
Right. Well, and that's the thing. So I'm just trying to pull up.
what's that?
I'm just trying to pull up some valve covers, and that the big thing with the oil consumption in the GMs is the PVC system. And it was funny because I was watching a video the other day, and people were saying how they're losing oil. Well, you're losing to the PVC system because there's not adequate oil drainage on the valve covers, and it gets sucked up through the PVC system, and it's gone. So that's where
It's
the
just
catch.
blow by. Well,
right?
in this class action, GM's recognizing it as blow by through the piston rings, and that was what I was going to show with.
Well, and I've heard that rumor before, and
Yep.
I, you know, but you would see it. You would see it in your plugs. You would see it in your exhaust. You know, you would see it if you're in a state where you have to have emission testing. You would see it
Mhm.
on your emission test.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing that everybody's forgetting. Right. I think in the PVC system, you'd lose it, and it would follow through eventually. But you know, it's not as direct as through the rings.
Correct.
You know.
Correct. I mean, but you know, there is no fix for it because you know as well as I do, GM's going to fight it tooth and they're not gonna pull your engine,
Right.
disassemble the short block under warranty. Are you kidding me? I mean,
Yeah.
this is Land Rover itis to
Right.
where it's just going to have to be a long block recall, and I don't think that GM is really going to want to do that, especially on 5.3. How many of those 5.3s do you think they sold?
Oh,
Exactly, it'd be a financial disaster.
I, I, you know what?
Yeah.
I, I don't know. Let's Google it because I wouldn't even want to guess
Yeah.
what. I wouldn't even want to guess how many 5.3.
It has to. I mean, I don't know how much of a the consumer would have to pay to upgrade because I never really messed around with the building price on a Silverado. How much the but I think the 6.2 you had to pay to upgrade to the 6.2. I just don't know how much it was, and I don't know how frequent people did it. But I know that there is a cult like following for that 5.3.
I honestly, I don't. I mean, how far do you want to go back? Do you want to go back 20 years? I mean, do you want to go back into the Gen 1,
Well, I
GMT,
mean, just the Gen 5. So what would the Gen 5 be?
you know?
Oh my gosh, what was it?
So so you're
2014?
not talking Gen 1 or Gen 2. You're into 3 and up, right? Like,
Correct.
gotta
Yeah.
be,
Just where they're having this issue.
it's gotta
But
be in the,
I'm
oh, dude, I had my '07 Avalanche.
it's yeah, well that's my point. Is it's going to be a
One.
staggering number and I don't think GM can suffer that financially to um replace everybody's engine that has a 5.3 because I just think there's just millions out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, my '07, my first one, it had a 5.3 in it, and you know, it went 250,
Yeah.
255, and it was still going. But I mean, I had to run a little bit of thicker oil,
Yeah.
and it would have to be in the millions. I'm gonna say since '07, it would have to be. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah. We
it's
both know it would.
got to be 5 million, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. She's got a point, man.
Yeah,
She's
no
got a
shit.
point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So but I do think I can appreciate GM or any company really when they can step up and say, "Hey, we fucked up." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it a problem? Yeah, but you know, I don't know. So my question to you is: has this class action lawsuit? Have we had a verdict yet? Has it followed through yet?
I haven't.
Has
I'm
anything?
still following it, so I don't really want to comment too much because I don't have all
Sure.
the answers. I don't really know.
Right.
I've still been reading through it in my spare time.
Yep.
I know it looked like there was some ground gained on it, and then I think it got kicked back or rebutted more. I don't really know. You know, it looked
Oh,
like it
these things down.
was for a while.
Court down here goes on and on and on for years. But I mean, usually by the time if they settle out of court or whatever, or by the time it gets settled, it's you have to have your ear to the ground because
Mhm.
nobody else is going to say otherwise. So
Right.
I was just curious. I was just curious, but yes, it is a big issue. I think the thing with DOD think needs to be a thing of the past, especially since you know, with all these revisions and all these God, I can't think of the word right now. It feels so stupid. But with Trump going back and saying, hey, ixnaying the ombre on the EPA and really deregulating, I'm sorry. God, it's been a long
Right.
day, man. Uh kind of pushing it and saying, we're going to go back to these standards. I think that this is going to help out a lot. And I think that moving forward, I think GM needs to pull that whole system and just say, be done with it.
Well, I mean, that's, we're going to get into this a little later on, Gloria, about the engineering. We got a lot to talk about in the next 36 minutes, but I mean, yeah, the 468 in the Cadillac was so disastrous. I think they killed it after 2 years, or it might have even been 1 year. I mean, if you guys
Yeah.
know, correct me in the chat, but it was either 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
But so I just want to go over this real quick. This is from my part 2 of my oil consumption video that I did, and just, I mean, the comments in there are just, you see the same pattern repeating itself all the time, right? I have a 2000 Chevy Trailblazer, 200,000 miles, no oil consumption problems. Let's get into the deeper stuff.
Well, it's like the lifters. How long has GM had
Yeah.
lifter and intake and exhaust valve drop problems?
Son-in-law has a 22 AT462, has 40,000 miles. Just started using 2 quarts in 5,000 miles. The past 2 years, it would go to 5,000 miles between oil changes with no consumption. So all of a sudden, right? The 22 GMC 1500 62, 17,000 miles, uses 2 quarts of oil every 5,000 miles. 2022 2500 66. I was reading something about that this afternoon. 27,000 miles. A recent trip, I got a low oil message, so I checked.
27,000 miles.
I'd gone 1,084 miles, and it took 2 quarts to top it off. Guy I work with got a 23 Denali, 30,000 miles, would use a liter every 5 to 6K. GM would tell you that that's probably normal. I know in my Camaro, my 3.6, I was occasionally using a quart every oil change, and I do an oil change every 5K. And then I noticed when I changed oil brands, some of it went away. So, I don't understand that one.
Well, they were blaming it on detergent packs, because that's another thing of, you really shouldn't get brand loyal to any kind of
No,
oil, because what's that?
no, you shouldn't.
Yeah. Because I had it broken down to me by somebody that worked at, well, it starts with a V, Olean. But anyways, and they have detergent packs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a the best way I'd describe it is like a detergent pod in
Yeah.
like your
Yeah.
dishwasher. You know what I mean? So one might have the rinse ball.
It does somewhat work.
What's that?
It does somewhat work. You know what works better? Changing oil center.
Yeah. I did a video on it. It probably got, I don't know. I'd have to check. But you could go through the comments on that, hundreds of comments. And I broke down, I pretty much did a reaction to the guy that invented it. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I apologize if but he invented, or he was the lead engineer that came up with the GTR engine. And pretty much he came back and just said that, change your oil every 2,000 miles, just go with the cheap stuff. Frequency is better than trying to buy,
I will say this, and
change my mind.
I've ran Castrol for years. Castrol was a huge sponsor of mine for the car club. They've helped me out with some content support.
Okay.
And been a big supporter for years with our group.
Yep.
So, in
Yep.
return, I mean, I used to get lots of oil that we used to give out at shows and stuff. But I've also, in return, I've tried to make sure that I've supported the brand because
Right.
I didn't support anybody who I didn't believe in.
Right.
And in return, I would go out and support Cashflow and buy their product now. So that's a free plug for Cashflow because they've helped me out for so many years, and I've never had a problem with it. But I will tell you that I recently, come across some oil on sale and found some Mobil 1 and switched from the Cashflow to the Mobil 1, and they make different kinds of Mobil 1 now. They make it for SUVs. They make it high mileage. So it's funny, 120K is considered high mileage now, right? Well, I'm 85K on my truck. And so I thought, well, you know what, whatever. I bought it. I didn't even notice what brand of it was. So I ended up getting the SUV stuff or the truck and SUV stuff. And I noticed that the oil has been a lot cleaner than it normally is halfway through my oil change. But so, some of them do have a lot of detergents in it. And, you want to keep the inside of your motor clean and just change it regularly. Just change it more frequent. If you notice that the oil is getting dirtier faster, then just change it more frequent. And eventually it'll catch up to, that oil will look cleaner over a longer period of time. But, it's
absolutely.
This whole 020 to 040, it's just, it's just to keep up with EPA. It's to keep up with the EPA regulations. And I think Andrew just froze on us here. But the EPA standards is what's driving this 020. I mean, GM Motors for years were using 530. And all of a sudden they go to 020 or whatever. And now they want to go 040. You can run 530 in that. You can run 530 in that truck all day long. We run 530 up here in Canada in cold climate. So you can run it all day long. It's not going to affect. You're just going to lose a small amount of fuel economy. So did we lose Andrew? Yeah, we lost him. So anyways, we'll wait for Andrew to come back. Yeah, Gloria says, who cares about getting another mile a gallon if you don't have reliability, dependability, or durability, because it absolutely, so I don't recommend going to a 530 when you're under warranty. I recommend that. I'm not saying this because, I don't want to give, I'm saying this because I don't want to give bad advice. Okay. I think that, during your warranty period, I think you need to follow whatever the recommended viscosity is for that engine. But once you get outside that warranty, I think that, you have an opportunity to go to a thicker oil. That's my wife, Kelly. Hi, honey. The chat's been pretty quiet. Gloria's been taking care of the chat. I thought I knew you froze, and I was trying to bump you in and out to see if it would do something, but it didn't. So
the little duck came up and said streamer crashed on me.
Yeah. So I was just saying that.
Catch me up. I couldn't hear you. What were you saying?
I was just saying that this whole 020, 040 thing, and how, forever, we were running 530 in most GM cars and trucks. And then all of a sudden, the EPA standards get stricter, and all of a sudden they're going to a 08 oil, and you can run 530 in those motors. I mean, the motor hasn't changed, right?
Yeah.
The heads might have changed a little bit, but the motor hasn't changed. The motor is still the motor. That 5.3 from 20 years ago is still basically the same today.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just the block's a little bit different material.
It's still the same today. So,
yeah.
We run 530 up here in Canada in cold climate. So you can certainly run it in and in a warmer climate, right? So
Absolutely. It's in the manual too.
yeah. Well, so I was the same. Is I recommend that you kind of follow whatever the warranty, because you don't want to screw with that warranty, right? The last thing you want to do is mess around with that warranty.
Bingo.
Right?
Bingo.
So, sure, you could experiment with it and put some thicker oil and see if it cuts down in the consumption. In a lot of the videos I do, I always say run that, that 5 to 2,000 mile check where you check your oil at, or check your oil every 500K, right? And then if, and then check it at 1,000. Okay. And if nothing happens, then go to 2,000, right? And then, you should be checking it every time you fill up, but
yep.
if you got consumption issues, right, try to narrow it down where it's happening.
I just 2,000 miles, change it.
Right.
It's been treating me quite. I haven't had any problems yet, and they say it's better for the lifters, anyhow. So
yeah, well, and again, right, not the shit on GM, but like that 15 of mine, it's it's 400 horse and doesn't have any AFM, DFM, and I still get 21 miles a gallon on the highway.
Yeah.
So do we really need that cylinder deactivation, right? So
no. It's like the skip shift. It's all just like you said. It's all for EPA and the emissions.
Yeah. Gloria says, I like the 0W, but don't care about these 020 oils. Run at least a 030. Can't imagine anything lighter than using a 530 in one car 040. Well,
yeah, I'd be running 530 down there all the time.
Yeah.
I only switched back to 08 when as soon as it started snowing up here. That was the only reason I went back to 040. But other than that, I ran 5W30 and ZL1 and my SS1LE.
Yeah, I still think you can get away with 530 in cold climate.
You think so?
Yeah, we run it up here.
Yeah. Does it take a little bit longer to warm up?
Not really.
No.
I run 520, 530 in the truck. I run 530 in the car all year round.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now it's not, the truck's higher compression, but the car's not higher compression. But I don't know and I do know some people who run a 08 oil, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you can run a slightly thicker oil, right? That could help with that, right?
Yeah, especially higher mileage, maybe.
So, I just want to put a plug out there for my lovely wife Kelly. If you're into, well, Kelly's working on some new stuff, so I don't know what to promote for her. But if you're into, crime trials and tarot cards and just everyday life stuff, make sure that you click on Kelly's channel, Kelly's True North Tarot, and give her go subscribe to that channel, as well as Andrew. Put your channel in there. Oh, actually, I think I am.
Drop it in the chat.
Oops, if I can spell, that would be good.
As I was saying, I should be back up to putting up some content here real shortly.
So anyway, so getting back to just jumping into this recall quickly. So, this is where I think it's not going to end with just the trucks. The cranks are
Absolutely
the same,
not.
the bearings are the same. Maybe in the LT4s there might be, the LT4s might be fine because they use different connecting rods and all that, but I still think the LT1s, the LT1s will be next. and I'm surprised we haven't heard anything about the LT ones. Right, being that the crank's the same, the bearing's the same, right? But I did read a comment today where somebody said, the Camaro, the Camaro and the Corvettes, they live at a higher RPM range. Where in any of the videos that I've seen online about the trucks, it's low idle. That's why the zero oil or the zero. So it's a lower RPM where it's going on, right? That's where most of the damage is happening. It's just not high end RPM, right?
Oh no.
Right?
Yeah.
So the Camaro lives on a higher RPM range most of the time, where the trucks are living in a lower RPM, and that's where all the damage is happening.
Believe it or not, I think the higher RPM is actually better.
Yeah.
It's actually it's much easier for stuff to live at a higher RPM. I think that's why the 10 speed is really help. You know what I mean? Because I mean the shift point when I rode in Mike Burley's car, man, that thing, it was like a 700 RPM, maybe 500 RPM shift extension. And I mean the algorithm in that TCM had the car figured out. So yeah, and every engine builder I talked to, and everything that had.
Oh, I think we lost Andrew again. So I was going to ask a question, and I think I'll wait till Andrew comes back. Is why are we not seeing this in the automatic cars? So, and with you're back. Trucks experience lower RPM, heavier load performance. Yeah, well, 100%. So why are we not seeing this in the automatic cars, Andrew? You think?
Oh, like I said, I think the more and more, well, I mean, because pretty much anything we've gotten away from 4 speeds and 6 speeds. Everything with the LT and the Gen 5, we went minimum of like 8 speeds, 8 speed, 10 speed. With GM and the Ford merger, or the collaboration of designing that transmission, there's stuff in that thing in everything.
Yeah, but why are we not seeing these problems in the fifth gens, the L99s? We're seeing oil consumption in those motors because they were AFM, I guess, back in the day.
Yeah, the DOD.
Why are we not seeing these issues in the automatic LT ones? Because they're cylinder deactivation.
Are you talking about the cars or the trucks?
Some of the cars.
Just exactly what you said. I think that the higher RPM is just giving everything a much higher chance
of living at a higher RPM like the manuals do.
When I rode in Mike Burley's 10 speed, that thing took us to what was it? About 5,800, and it just sat there, just boom, 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 boom. I mean, the needle barely moved. And like I was telling you, from every engine builder that I don't know what cut before I got another glitch here, but every engine builder that I've talked to, they say you want to keep it there. Right. And the shift extension is so short where it's bam, 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 bam. They say that's what makes engines live. And like what Gloria was saying with the low RPM grunt and really increasing the load demand, I would say, or torque.
Right. So you guys in the chat, what are you guys seeing? Like, are you guys seeing? We're starting to see bad oil consumption in the cars for those of you who are here on that have trucks and whatnot. Like, let us know in the comments what you guys are seeing. But I'm just joining the conversation as to what you guys are seeing and whatnot. And sorry, Andrew, to cut you off. I was just
no, you're fine. No, that's cool, man. Yep. So, I mean, well, that's what we're here for, is for everybody to pile in. Because I mean, without everybody coming together and sharing everything or helping each other out, this really goes nowhere. So that I mean, it was like back in the day when I had, I can't remember. I was doing shorts. I can't remember which car had it. It was probably my ZL1, but I would just go to the store and buy like the it's like a big box of wine. And have you ever seen that motor oil that comes in a big bag,
Yeah.
big box? Yeah. And so when I was doing the AMS oil, it seems like whenever I would sit there and check the dipstick, I would have to put in 11 quarts. So it's just like this right here with the oil consumption and everything. When it would come time, because I know my SS 1LE had 50,000 miles on it when I got rid of it, and it would chew up some oil when it was time to change the oil because I waited that longer duration of time. So I would just add the whole 12 and people would just freak out in the comments. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand it. I mean, with that big of an oil capacity, that extra quart, you're going to go through it anyways. You know what I mean?
Right. But how far would it put it up the dipstick?
Dude, barely moved.
Oh, okay.
Barely moved. You know, I mean, when you're talking your oil capacity is 2.5 gallons, a quart's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough.
So, yeah.
No, but that's the last thing you also want to do is, you don't want to be putting. I mean, in that example, you're probably fine, but
yeah.
typically putting an extra quart of oil on some cars,
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have like a 4.5 quart capacity, you're talking that's 20-30%. I mean, that is huge. Don't do that. Don't do that. But when you got 11, 12 quarts, that extra quart, when it's going to get chewed up in a few thousand miles, no.
So is this latest recall? Is it a problem or is it just blown out of proportion? You think?
I think GM's acknowledging it to just stay out of court, but I don't. I think the piston rings are a problem, and I think they need to switch manufacturers. And I think if the engineers have figured that out, maybe they're doing that already. But I think GM's trying to do everything they can to keep their ass out of off the next episode of Judge Judy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. I mean, okay, you know what? I can see them pushing back on the oil consumption part because, as we tried to figure out earlier, how many millions of motors have they sold of the 5.3s? But that, that oil consumption doesn't just land in 5.3s. I mean, one of my last comments I seen in the oil consumption video we did, and I think it was in the oil consumption. Let me just find. Somebody said that their 4.3 was going through oil like mad too.
Yeah, I heard that.
Right?
When did they get rid of the 4.3 though?
15 maybe. Oh, there it is. Hold on.
That thing was reliable, but man, it had its problems.
My 14 Silverado 4.3 eats oil like crazy. No smoke, no leaks. I notice it eats faster under load, like towing a trailer and whatnot. But I've kept an eye and been dry. So no oil light, which is scary. I put 1030. It seems to slow it down a bit. So it's not just 5.3s and 6.2s and 6-liter. Like it seems to be, the Equinoxes. Holy cow, the Equinoxes were horrendous for oil consumption.
Were they really?
Just engineering, you know what I mean? Like, again, right? Like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, like, your LT1, right? And there are guys, and even I don't mind the sound of an LT1, but reverse cooling and the location of that distributor.
Are you talking about Gen 2 or Gen 5?
I'm sorry, the Gen 2.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That engineering nightmare.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like,
I mean, the thing is like I said, my 96, the one that I have now, has 175,000 miles on it.
Right.
And we went through and compression tested it, and it's 200 psi every cylinder. I mean, it is.
Right.
dependable as it gets. 17 head studs per head.
Right.
I mean, the thing is just it will run forever. It's just and maybe I'll do that. But yeah, there's a little weep hole in the bottom of the water pump, and that starts dripping. It takes out the, but just like you said with the reverse flow, and the water pump itself is driven off the camshaft, so there's
Right.
no belt, so it doesn't. You know, it's super hard to tell when it's gone bad, and yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent about it, but yeah.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I think you're having your overheat is because they're notorious for air pockets.
Oh, you
They're
want to talk about that, huh? Yeah.
notorious for air pockets, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
you
So
know,
yeah, for those of you who don't know, I am like right now, I am having a little issue with overheating on the car. I've replaced pretty much everything, but that's okay because everything is 30 years old and it needs replaced anyways. So through the process of elimination, I'm slowly getting the kinks out, and as soon as I get it figured out, boom,
what I
we'll
would
be.
do, Andrew, if I was you, is try and get it up, try and get the front end up on jack stands or get the front end raised. So it's 30 degrees
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
start it and let it run. So all that air rises to the front.
Yeah, I've got a funnel on it, making the reservoir the highest point of the engine. It's just with all those elbows and everything that goes around, just like you're saying with the reverse flow, it's got bleeder screws here and there, and there's a process to get everything, get all the air out of it. But
Right. That's enough.
it's a
Yeah.
learning curve.
It I think it goes back to what appears to be planned obsolescence. And that might be a bit harsh in this example of the recall, but it goes back to the oil consumption, right?
What's that?
The planned obsolescence, right? If things are they're not built to last 20, 30 years like they used to be. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, this thing is
People get rid
overbuilt.
of their cars every, couple
Yeah,
years,
and they
5
know that.
years,
Yeah,
right? They
and they
know that,
know that.
right? So,
Yeah.
um,
When
oh, fair enough.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's my fear here. Yeah, so wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, here's the problem is the temp gauge goes way up, and then you shut it off, and then it'll start backfeeding coolant. So the thing is through the process of elimination, 30 years, I'm having to dissect it and figure out what other people have or haven't done. So I have to figure out and my biggest fear is 30-year-old Dexcool. It's Dexcool silicone based, and it starts to glob up and everything.
Right.
So um I have a feeling like the heater core might be blocked or stuffed up or whatever. I'm hoping that's not the case, but like I said, one day at a time. I'm chiseling away at it. When I get a couple hours in the garage, I go out there and fool with it. But I'll
Right.
get it here pretty soon. I can't wait to start driving it because it is a badass car. I love it. I love it. I mean, to most people, it's just an old piece of shit. But
So have you driven it at all?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
now
yeah.
is it overheating while you're driving? Is it overheating while
No,
you're filling it?
just when it's sitting still. So the coolant fans aren't kicking on. So I've put an ohm meter on everything. I've tested the relays and this and that and everything. So basically, I've gotten it. The process of elimination, I've got it down to the point to where either I'm gonna have to take it somewhere and get a flush, check that, and then I'm gonna have to start tearing apart the wiring loom because the wiring loom it looks original and it's like the wiring's only designed to make get you by for 10, 15 years. So we're double that. So
Yeah.
it's probably time.
Well, and just you know, just going to remind you that sometimes it's something simple. Okay, you
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
the third gen cars, right? The early, well, I shouldn't say
Tried
early,
it. I did it. I
the
did it.
85 and up cars heavily relied on those lower air dams
Yep.
that that bolted under the rad support. And if you didn't have those, you would run halfway while you're driving it, right?
Oh,
But if you put
on the
that thing
tail.
on, if you put that thing on and it would scoop the air,
Yeah.
you would be down, you know, 1/4, 5/8, somewhere in that range, like below halfway.
Wouldn't you
Just to,
like to know? Says he recommends a fan switch.
yeah,
Now, can I ask you, Chris? Are you saying a manual switch, or are you saying replace that switch that screws into the water pump? Because there's
I think that's what he's saying.
yeah, because I replaced that. I replaced that brand new switch. I've pretty much replaced everything. So
Yeah, but I think he's thinking about an override switch.
yeah, that's what I'm asking him.
Yeah, I think that's
I
what he's
thought
looking
about
at.
it. I thought
You know,
about it. I'd really like to get the car just functioning the way it should because I'm afraid of the domino effect. Because if you fix something, like two other things might come back online. You know what I'm saying? Because that
yeah.
happens. Yes, manual. It helps for in town. Yeah,
So what
I'll
I
bet.
would recommend is
I
maybe
agree with him.
do a system flush and maybe just replace the rad. Like put a new rad
I
in.
thought about that too. I
Put a
thought
new
about
rad
that
after
too.
the system flush. Put a new rad in it, right? And just fill it full of premix.
Because see, here's the thing: is I don't know what people have or haven't done.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: is the car, like I was saying, um, with the T top covers, and I went through the build sheet, so I paid to get a back. I paid. I went on a website and paid to get a build sheet of what this car was, and
right.
it was very accurate. Um, not not saying it's the solution. It's just a good mod. I've heard that before. I've heard that before. Um, he got me sidetracked there. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about a bigger core radiator too.
Yeah.
But I don't know
Now
where I
is
was
it
going with that.
Southern
I'm
Car
sorry.
Ranger or is it always in a mid in a like a mid north climate?
What's that?
That your Camaro.
You're asking all the good questions.
Well,
That's
because if
why.
it was a southern car, I wouldn't doubt for 1 second it's probably got more water than antifreeze in it.
Well, that I mean, that was part of why I pulled the trigger on this car. Um, it initially, I think it was sold in the Midwest here, but it spent a lot of time in Oklahoma, which is
Fairly
south of the
warm.
Rust Belt. Yeah, so it's south of the Rust Belt, and it's really clean underneath. Like it's for almost 200,000 miles. There's
You have
not
an
a lot
antifreeze
of rust.
system?
Yeah, yeah. I got a refractometer.
I would check it and see because I bet it's got more. I bet it's been overly diluted with water. And he froze again. Did you freeze again? I think you did.
Yes, I did. Are you
Oh,
there?
there you go. No, we're good.
Yeah. This is why I haven't done any live streams because okay, so I'll just come clean. About a year and a half ago, we had a drunk driver hit the box out here, and our internet provider has not really, you know,
Really.
got the yeah. So, but what were you saying about
I don't.
what were you saying one before I froze?
Oh, just that it was probably heavily diluted. It could be heavily diluted with water too, and it won't cool properly.
Oh man, by now, no, I've drained it. I've drained it all, and I've because there's still some that sits in the water jackets and the block and heads and this and that. But uh, so pretty much I tore the front, everything of the whole front off the engine, and when I did that, I pretty much drained everything. I got a big 3 gallon bucket, and yeah, so I'm going back to an ethylene glycol based coolant because I'll I have no problem with doing the maintenance myself, and I trust myself a lot more to because that's why GM went to a silicone base because you could go 150,000 miles, and that was back in the day when people loved that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of going 30,000, you could get 5x the. So that's why everybody jumped on the Dex Cool. But like I said, with the silicone and everything, but hindsight's 2020. I'm going back to an ethylene glycol based coolant. So like I said, it's process of elimination. I might get out there Memorial Day and see if I can't get this figured out. But I do agree with Chris. That's wouldn't you like to know about
When is your holiday?
the
It's
fan
Monday,
mod,
isn't it?
because that cast iron block. What's that? Yeah,
So when is your holiday? Monday, isn't
day
it?
after
Yeah.
tomorrow.
So happy
Yeah, day after
Memorial Day,
tomorrow.
everybody down south there.
Yeah, thank you,
Um,
sir. Yeah.
I know ours was a week ago. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
ours is called Victoria Day, but same thing.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, no, it's not the same thing. That's not what I meant. It's we get a long weekend as well, is what I meant. I mean,
that's
our
cool.
two
That's
holidays are
cool.
very different, right? For different
Heck
reasons.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's and that's the thing, right? Like the days of that LT1, and unfortunately, then days are long gone.
But they run forever, dude. I mean, like I said, we
Well,
compression tested it, and it's
yeah. Well,
200
even
psi.
it's funny because even the mid to late 2000 trucks, is as much as they had a lot of problems,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
they still, in comparison, they still are quite good. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the LS, and if you have even had a chance, go check out Grubworm Racing. This it's more than just drag racing. This guy Jonathan, I can't remember his last name. He's in North Carolina. He just started a engine building shop, and he actually specializes in the small block Chevy, because that's what this engine is, a small block Chevy. But he did a comprehensive breakdown from that time in the mid 90s when they went from small block Chevy to LS, and why they did what they did. And he shows like the machining marks, and it's cheaper for GM to make the LS as opposed to a small block Chevy.
right?
And it's a good watch. I might have to if I get the chance, I'll send you the link. But yeah, but I mean the LS was, for what it was an awesome freaking platform. It was supposed to be very modular, and just the Legos of Chevrolet V8
Well,
greatness.
that's the problem. I think the EPA standards is what's killing everything, right?
Yeah, the EPA jumped in and just they fucked everything. I mean, they're always doing that though. You know what I mean? They mess everything up for everybody.
And I get it. We have to somewhat worry about our environment, but
Yeah,
uh, at the same time,
absolutely.
I think it's I think that it's I don't think these engines are as bad as everybody says they are. So you
What's
know,
that? Which
oh,
one?
just about polluting and stuff, right? Like there's so much
No, absolutely not.
there's so much technology now to offset a lot of that, right? So
Absolutely. They're
you know,
so
automatic
efficient.
conversions come some have come miles from where they used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
these V8s are very efficient.
yeah,
Very, very efficient. You just said it, 400 horsepower, and you're getting 21 miles to the gallon.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, um, but I also think that there's a lot of this recall is it might be overhyped a little bit. I don't know. It exposes some of the shortcuts that these big three take to try and make these engines cheaper. And I get it. They're
Absolutely.
you know
And I think that's understandable. It's just how they handle it, taking care of the consumer and standing behind their product
well, and
is
that's
what's
what
gonna.
that's what they need to do, right? Like there needs to be a strong there needs and things happen. Like parts fail every day. But I think GM needs to do their part and make sure that they're using the best suppliers for the best price, and with that, backing their consumers when
Backing,
problem,
yes.
right? Like Gloria said, right? So, um, I think a lot of that. And if anybody who's new here who hasn't seen my latest video on this recall, I'll put it up in the chat, and you guys can go and check it out and make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe. But it goes to
What
expose some of the problems, right? Like the recalls and the oil consumption, to which there's no there's no fix for it yet. There's TSBs and blah blah blah, but they're not, they're trying to distance themselves, and it's not just them. Again, like I said earlier, right?
well, with the voodoo, what did Ford do?
These problems have been going back 20 years, since the early 2000s. I mean, look at all the Hemi motors,
Yep.
and they replaced some of them under warranty.
Well, yeah,
A
look
lot
at
of
the problems I had with the Hellcat.
There was a
But
lot of people that got screwed.
mhm.
I bought a '04 Durango 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Why?
Well, because it had a Hemi in it. I needed a second car, blah 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 blah, whatever, right?
Oh, okay.
So it had like 70,000 miles on it, right? And it was only 8 years old, and it had a new motor in it already,
Hmm.
right? But poor engineering, right? The
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the problem with the Hemi tick and all the Hemi issues is was
I
poor
think
design.
they all had the.
Couldn't get to the cam.
I think they all three manufacturers had the tick of death problem. I think they
Right.
all did. You know.
So it's not like this is not a beat on GM thing, but
No,
this is
no.
the stuff we follow, right? So it gets, you know,
I will say, as the brand I'm invested in,
yeah,
that's the one I closely watch the most.
yeah,
So I do want to express, just like Mark said, it's not a whale on GM thing, but like I
oh,
said, it's the brand it's the flag I'm waving. So it's the one I'm kind of holding to most nearest and dearest to my heart. So I'm just hoping that they stand behind their product and take care of their customers. That's all.
mhm, yeah. So I just want to. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. What did I want to do? Oh, that's what I wanted to do.
Well, share with us. Tell us all. What did you want to do, Mark?
Oh, I'm trying to go here.
I will say, I didn't know back in the 90s that they had a 342 Posy diff
No,
upgrade.
there's the latest. Whoops, there's the latest video right there.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go check it out. It's doing really well. So thank you to everybody for that. Um, yeah, no. Is that what's in your car? 342?
It is. I
Really?
didn't even know it was an option. I heard 323 was, but I didn't
Yeah,
know
323
342.
was the big rear gear, and so that's what I would have expected you to have.
Yeah. Like I said, this car was I went through, like I said, I Comp 9, I'll give them a plug here. Was the I think and if your car is built up to 2017, they have pretty much all the information on it. They have down to the day my car was built. So I was pretty impressed. And they did it all for $5.
Who was that?
Comp 9.
Oh,
COMP 9, spelled out the number 9. But yeah, it's pretty detailed, and like I said, this car I think it's gonna be a pretty badass car. So I'm just on the edge of some things. Like I said, I want to get that figured out, and then I think we're going to be good to go. I'll be back online.
Oops, that's not what I wanted to do.
What
So
do you do, Mark?
this is who you used here.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I had
So
a couple people recommend it, and
we'll put the
went
link
back.
in the description. Give them a free plug if you're happy with it.
Yeah, I will. I was really happy with it. Yeah.
Why I asked about the SLP car is that there's a lot of info on for SLP for Firehawk and SS's,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to know what it was. So
And you know, at the end of the day, like I said, I didn't want a collector car. And as a matter of fact, I mean, you saw the condition when I was originally was going to pull the trigger on, but
yeah,
you know, because everybody says, "Oh, you have," you know, it's how did he put it? Unreach. It's unobtainable to the most common folk. So this was kind of like the perfect car because it was like it's not expensive. It's not. I wanted a higher mileage one because I wanted a driver because I don't want to take like a ultra low mile car and then just freaking wreck it. And
right.
then you know, it's got a lot of miles. It's a high option car, not a lot of rust. It's yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to show it off. I can't wait to actually get it done. So
We're just
get you
looking
get
after some. Well, we're just looking after some stuff.
okay, okay.
Um, for
You
those
know
who are, it's funny. I'm still. I think
what?
that StreamYard's gotten miles better from where it was, but I still bounce around that other one. But I will say they have stepped up. They've walked a lot of their
Yeah,
big plans back for their price increases.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, once you get competition, because I mean, you got so many platforms now. I think it kind of forces them to do better, give more. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they are a little bit more competitive now. I think the resolution. Um,
So many questions to which I have not seen answers. Well,
get type away. You got to keep.
we were just getting ready to tie this up, but
No,
let's
it's cool.
throw them at us. Let's go.
Yeah, you got a keyboard. Obviously, it works. Hit me.
Yeah.
Let's go. I love questions.
Andrew likes doing research.
There you go.
Well, so to answer your question, GM claims that number to be 3%. They claim 3% of the 660,000 engines will need to be replaced, is what they believe on the
This was
recall.
addressed in 2016.
So
I think that's when the class action
I
goes
think it
back
was
to.
to 26,000 engines was what I seen. Are all the crankshafts defective? Well, I don't think there's a clear answer on that, is there, Andrew? I
No,
think
not that I know of. Because as far as I'm aware, the uh, problem lies within the blow by of the piston rings.
right. No,
And
yes,
well, with all the Gen 5s, they're getting the 4340 forged crank anyhow. So the cranks, from what I hear, are outstanding, even all the way up to 1,000 horsepower. So
yeah, but the
I haven't heard.
L87s don't have. Oh, the Air Force crank, right?
They all get it.
Right.
So as far as I'm aware, I haven't heard any bad crankshafts
I think
from.
that's the big problem though. Is this so
What?
they have a couple suppliers apparently,
It
and,
doesn't surprise me one bit.
and one of the big suppliers one of the big crank suppliers is I think there's two of them in Mexico, and I think one of them has where they found a lot of the problems. I have a 2024 Hive Country.
Huzzah! Yeah, had no problem so far. Like I said, I don't know when you jumped in on the stream here, but as of what I'm hearing, and GM is calling normal, is 1 quart of consumption for 2,000 miles. That's the number I have seen. Anything beyond that, do you think that they would recognize as a problem, Mark? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, buddy.
To me, a quart for every 2,000 miles. You saw the comments on that one video that you just pulled up. 1,084 miles, and it took how many quarts did he say? 2 quarts.
Something like that. Yep.
The thing is like I could see a half a quart throughout the duration of the life cycle of that oil change. Anything beyond that to me is insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get heat evaporation. You know what I mean, and you're losing some overall volume that way. But
Yeah.
I mean, to me, an oil system should not be consuming any.
No, but again, I blame it on the PVC system, right? Because that PVC system goes back and it lubricates the intake somehow.
The positive crankcase ventilation system.
And those engines are direct injection.
Yeah, they're direct injection. Hey, and they do have oil squirters on the bottom of the piston as well. But I mean, yeah, like the PVC, PCV. God, man, I'm getting tired of all these. But all that's because a lot of that pressure that builds under the piston, it's just trying to mitigate that. That's all that is. And Morpheus here saying that I am sure GM knows which engines are potentially. Then I sure hope then they need to do something about it, because as far as initiating a recall, I mean, that is like I just was saying like 10 minutes ago, it's not the problem, it's how the company stands behind their product and helps the customer out. So yeah.
Is there a way to drop the oil pan and check the sediment? What I would do, Morpheus, is I don't know if you've seen my my video that I did on the recall. I put a couple of tips in there. One was oil analysis. It was when you drain the oil, get yourself like I don't know what to call it, like a tomato strainer or something with a very fine strainer. Go to the dollar store, something cheap, and run it. Let the oil drain through it as you're draining the oil, and it should pick up if it's the very fine strainer, it should pick up anything fine, any of that sediment. It should pick all that up.
You can go to your automotive paint store, anywhere that sells automotive paint, and if you get filters, you can get them down to I think 10 micron. And they're super cheap. Sometimes they'll just give them to you for free. I mean, the last time I checked, they were like, you could buy a whole sleeve for like $20.
I promise you'll never use paint filters. Absolutely.
Yeah. And also,
now you can sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. You can also go and get yourself a cheap boroscope off Amazon.
Yep.
They sell them cheap in there, right? Drain the oil out of it. Boroscope light on the end of it. It'll see if there's any sediment. You'll see it in the cracks of the corner of the pans and stuff. And that way you don't have to pull the oil pan down, right? Because some of them oil pans are pretty much a pain to bring down, right? So,
oh my gosh, yeah. And nowadays they're using that Hylamar, which is half adhesive and half silicone RTV, and you have to whale that thing with a hammer. And if I remember correctly, especially on the LTs, like the steering rack is right underneath of it, and it's the whole front end. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody with the spin-on oil filter, Amazon sells them real cheap. It's just like a little. You can cut the top off, pull the pleats out, inspect the pleats. Anybody with a cartridge filter,
that was one of the other tips I put in there too. Inspect your oil filter.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have any, but that's only going to tell you metal, but I did the first one that you recommended was the oil analysis. I think that that's the best.
To go back to Morpheus' point, I know they're going to know when the truck, at the time of being built, they'll know all that information because all that stuff is, it's all scanned when they're putting the parts. Now that truck comes assembled to the plant, so maybe not. But I would have to agree with Morpheus and think the GM knows or has a fair idea of
Absolutely.
how many.
Absolutely.
I mean, they must know. They put out that 3% number. They must know. But that's not the first time I've heard that 3% number. I've heard that 3% number in something else. So I don't know if they just like the 3% number because it makes it sound good or what. I don't know, but I've heard 3% before in different examples of not just this recall.
Like I said, it's how they approach the fix. Whether they're going to be goodwilling engines.
Vehicles that have the 6.2 engines in them. Car value guys, Carfax, and all like it. You know what? I don't think it's still a high demand vehicle. I don't think it's going to affect it.
No, it's a mass produced.
I don't think it's going to hinder the value of the truck because it's got a 6.2 in it. It's still a very desirable option. It's still a very desirable truck. So, and changing the weight to 0W40, how's that going to make a defective engine? Well, it's not. It's part of the inspection process, and I was talking about it earlier when Andrew was lagging in and out. Personally, if you're not in even if you are in a colder climate, but what I just read, do you remember what year this was? Oh, it's 24, so it's still under warranty. The 0W40, all it's going to do is Morpheus. If you haven't seen my video, check out my video. There's a lot of good links in there. I will put the link in here again. All of 040 is going to do is it's going to help lubricate the bearings better on the crankshaft. So if there isn't a problem, it's going to hopefully prevent that from becoming a problem. And then if you keep the truck outside of warranty, I would seriously move to a 530 or a 520. Even a 520 oil. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I put 520 in my F-150, and that F-150 is a lot more complex than that 6.2 pushrod motor. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like, because the 5 liters aren't pushrod. And I'm not comparing one to the other. I'm just saying we run 530 and I'm in Canada and we run 520 it all year round, and it can get pretty cold here in the wintertime. Not particularly where I am. I mean, you get about a month stretch where it'll get down, minus 10, 15 Fahrenheit. But, and it doesn't affect things. I mean, so you don't have to 0W40 world if you don't want to, right?
So basically, what the way that it was explained to me from automotive manufacturers is they know exactly the pump, how many liters per hour that pump is flowing, the oil galley diameter, how many bends, the flow rate of that oil galley. So the way that they determine is they run testing to see what weight of oil will keep the contaminants suspended long enough to run it across the pleats of the oil filter for the oil filter to do its job and capture said contaminants. Now, that being said, hydrostatic pressure is going to play a big part of that, as well as far as getting pressure between the bearing and the crankshaft, camshaft, the wrist pins, all that stuff. So when it comes to swapping out oil weights, I typically follow what the manufacturer says because it's the engineer and they know exactly what it takes to get the hydrostatic pressure is the most important part in my mind. So I checked in my owner's manual and it said 530 in warmer weather, 040 in colder weather. That's what I did. I had no problems. I saw a tiny bit of oil consumption, but yeah.
So I just wanted to put this up for Morpheus. I was checking this out earlier. So when you take the truck in to do the inspection, they're gonna plug it in. They're gonna check to see if it's blown any crank position codes. That P0016, if it's blown a P0016 code at some point, it's a good indication that motor is going to need to be replaced based on what I've read and the videos I've seen when I was doing my research for my video. Now, if you have a code reader, you can find that information out yourself, but it should come up with an engine code, so it won't be a shock to. It's not like you're not going to know about it. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. So Morpheus says I use that with my 26 M6 competition. Yeah. Well, I mean BMW. Come on. Those damn things. Nice car. I've heard so many complaints with problems with them blowing up. I mean, like I was saying earlier in the stream, M5 rod bearings becoming general maintenance. The fuck is that? Like what? So yeah, the 0W20, I proceed with caution on that. But I mean, like I said, if what Mark is saying is true with that code, I would follow the manual to a T, and I would definitely hop on the class action, if need be, because there's no reason for GM not to be goodwilling. That's what they call it, or warranting an entire engine. Because I mean, in today's day, like I was telling Mark, these engines are so efficient. 200,000 miles is nothing with the film strengths and the detergents and all the friction modifiers and everything in these fluids. Yeah. Very, very. I mean, the engine life has dramatically gone up. Yeah. I don't have problems with my M6, but I'm driving like an asshole. Yeah. Well,
So
all that matters.
That's the thing, right? And I've seen that. Wouldn't you like to know? Said something about the super coil. I mean, we were already seeing problems up here. Whoops.
What's that? What is supercar oil?
That's that 0W40 oil. Right? We're already seeing problems with that in the sense of shortages because I guess a lot of people are switching to that 040, right? So, but that's the big thing. I mean, like I said, like I say in my video, right? Like, do your homework before you go to the dealer, right?
Absolutely.
If you have the ability and you change your own oil, or you have the ability to at least change it once, drain it, cut that filter open, and like Andrew said, get a paint filter and just hold that over the oil when it's coming out. And it's better to obviously warm the motor up first, let it cool a little bit, but you want it warm when it comes out because that's when you're going to see any sediment and whatnot, right? And then inspect that paint filter, or go to the dollar store and buy a cheap filter or a cheap strainer or whatever. It's just that's really all it's for. If it's got the engine code, or if it's got the service engine light on, then that's when if you have a code reader, and you can buy them cheap off Amazon or wherever, Walmart, wherever, plug it into the car. It'll tell you what code it is, and if it's got that P0016, I'm not saying 100%. I'm saying likely it's a good candidate for engine replacement because they're going by that crank sensor code.
He just commented all of this would go away if they narrowed down the specific engines that actually had defective parts.
Absolutely.
The awesome part about having a 6.2 in the Spark, everything that they have across the line is you get to watch the forums, and you get to watch the forums, and everybody's Camaro 6, the Corvette forum, everybody's gonna be bitching about the same thing, and it's all gonna be evidence that that you can take on your behalf. He also said,
it's
what?
funny that some forums have managed to live on. I mean, I shut ours down because ours, Facebook is the new forum, and I just got tired of paying for it. And nothing was going on, and forums had died off in the last 10 years, but managed,
Right.
Camaro 6 and 5 and 6 have managed to live on, mainly because of how many people there are involved in that. But there are truck forums and whatnot, but I would say Facebook and YouTube are the new forums in the sense where people get their information quicker.
Yeah. Well, he says that walking on eggshells. Don't get that feeling. Just get your car and drive it. If it's
Yeah.
if it's good, it's good. If it's not, fix it. Get the
know.
problem fixed and take it in. I mean, you got a 24. You said,
Yeah.
You've got plenty of warranty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Plenty of warranty. And
wouldn't you like to know? Just said they should shorten the life back to 5K instead of 7 or 7.5. I still go under. I do 2,000.
Yeah,
that's what I do. Is 2,000 to 30 days. It's expensive, but it pays dividends, man.
I do 5K religiously, 5K.
Yeah.
And when I drain oil out of the truck, and out of the car, it's still pretty clean.
Yeah, you can still see through it, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean?
And again, I said it earlier, right? I get oil is expensive, but engines are more expensive.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, it's the base oil that binds everything together. It's different, and what you get, whether what brand you get, blah blah blah.
2,400 miles, it's barely broken in.
yeah, you're good, dude.
Yeah. Like it's barely broken in. Like I'd be interested to know how many oil changes you've done on that truck in 2,400 miles.
Right now, everybody that's sitting at a computer, your oil is oxidizing in your engine right now. So Michael Sachow just came in and said, you can't ever change your oil enough. Bingo.
Yeah.
That is, yep. You can't. Well, yeah, too much. We know what you meant, dude. That's 100% true. Like I said, with that base oil, the binder, which everything, all your detergents and all that BS is suspended in, that is, once you crack the seal on that jug of oil or whatever you have, the clock starts. And yeah, that, like I said, that oil change video that I did when I did a reaction really opened my eyes up to reality and everything. And just like Mark said, it's expensive, but engines are more expensive. And yeah.
And I'll put another, you know what? Like it's, I hadn't planned on, I only want to be on here an hour because I think we tend to lose.
What's that? Well, can I put this lifter up here? Cause I just want to,
oh yeah. So I was just saying, like, I believe we lose people after a while, but like this one's gone really well. We started to get some people on board with the discussion, and I think it's important. So I'm going to put.
This is important. I just Googled oil lifter failure.
I'm going to interrupt you. Sorry, Andrew.
You're fine.
I put Blake's YouTube channel in the comments.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Go check him out. because
That is
I'll
a
tell you
good
right
one.
now, I'm not saying that the Royal Purples and the whole AM's oil and all that high end oil isn't good stuff.
It
I'm
is.
just saying you don't have to go broke doing it. Okay.
Correct.
Lake does a lot of testing on oil and has basically come out and said that the Walmart oil is just as good as a lot of the name brand oils.
Yes. Like, yeah.
Gives you the stats and the scientific proof behind it. It's not just his, I mean, Andrew and I can sit here and say whatever we want,
Correct.
but Lake backs it up with science and gives you all the details. Sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
No,
I was,
look, you're fine. So this is a lifter, and GM has had problem, and this isn't just a GM problem, but GM has had magnitudes of problems. Everyone knows about the LS7 lifter, but up near that black portion where it says that the whole white cavity is pressurized motor oil, and up near that black, it's kind of like when you have something on the oven and you're reducing it down, you're boiling all the water out. That's what oil does. And that's where the tick of death comes from. Because as that sludge builds up inside that lifter, it binds that spring, and it has to take, it takes longer and longer and longer, because all that, it's just a pocket, and that oil sits in there and just fucking boils. So changing your oil goes back to Mike's point. Getting fresh oil inside that lifter is going to help. It's going to help everything, the bearing, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Especially with these direct injected engines,
yeah.
and the higher compression spot. It's just a good idea. And that was just kind of the one thing that I had somebody explain that to me, and it's really paid dividends to me throughout the years. It's just what Mark said. It's not how much oil or how much money you spend on your container of oil. It's how often you do it. Get fresh oil in there all the time. It's your engine's blood and its lifeline. That's where I'll leave it.
So I just wanted to share this. Can I?
Oh, he just brought up a
For
good
those who
one.
don't know about the lifters and collapse lifters, I just want to just share this quick.
He just brought up a good one.
So I'll just. This is from another YouTube channel, and it just did it. Oh, there you go. It's got no sound.
In Silverado with the collapsed lifter, you can see the brand new lifter is collapsed. There's an original lifter that isn't collapsed. You can see the difference. I changed the lifters 3 weeks ago. The dealership changed one lifter under warranty because he felt that it was a defective lifter. So I put a valve lifter oil manifold.
So, for those who don't understand about collapse lifters and that, it's just a quick. It makes a big difference, right?
Well, yeah. It goes back to that DOD, like we were talking about before. I've even heard of the camshaft or that lifter binding and the camshaft still spinning, and it breaks those things. You know what I mean? One's going to break, the lifter or the camshaft, the lobe on the camshaft.
So going back to Morpheus's comment here, he's had one oil change, and I had.
Well, I mean, he hasn't had any problems. He's good. He's just doing his homework right now.
And I had this. I kind of got into it. I wouldn't say an argument. I would say a disagreement with Scott and Andrew from Camaro Cave about new engines and how back in the older days we used to change, like any of the new cars I've ever had. First oil change, 1,000 miles. 1,000, in my case, 1,000 kilometers, but 1,000 miles, oil change. Get rid of that oil out of the factory and start put in synthetic, right? And then do the other one, and then do your second one, at 5,000, and then do 5,000 every consecutively after that, right? Because it'll flush out all that stuff in the engine, right? And the thing was, well, you don't have to do that anymore because the engines have tighter tolerances and so on. But I'm still a big fan of it, right? So,
What, 5,000 intervals?
yeah, I know, just that first 1,000. So I'm just
Yeah.
catching up with some comments here. What are you talked about? How expensive engines to replace? People who own EVs are looking at replacing batteries every 30K plus. Yeah.
That's why they're going to. Dude, I've seen so many YouTube videos of people buying Teslas and stuff at auction. They take it in and take it into a dealership to make sure that the battery's bad. And Tesla's even trying to undercut, give them like a wholesale pricing, and people they'll send it right back to the auction to send it back through because they ain't even gonna fuck with it. Exactly what we knew was going to happen before the EV craze took off.
Yeah.
30K for a battery. But he what's your opinion on that one right there, Mark? The auto start.
I don't have auto stop starting any of my cars.
Well, I know, but what's your opinion on it as far as
I
the oil
was
sitting
just
in
gonna
there
say I
cooking?
don't have it for a reason. Because
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
because I don't, and you know what? Call me cheap, call me whatever you want. I'm potentially looking at maybe replacing the car, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not a big fan of it, to answer the question. I think it's hard on starters. I think it's hard on the engine. Again, it's due to the EPA regulations to try and
it's an EPA thing.
It's a political way to drive that mile.
It's not. Yeah. It's not like the oil's getting. It's not like a turbo to where the oil's getting so hot you have to worry about the oil actually crystallizing in the bearings or anything. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's kind of silly. I think it's more of an inconvenience than anything. I mean,
I don't have it in mine. But in my truck is fairly loaded. I know the other circles I follow, a lot of the guys are having them tuned out.
I just think it's giving. I think it's giving the oil.
You can hit the button, but you can also go into the program and tune them out so you don't have to keep hitting the button.
Correct.
And a lot of guys, I see a lot of guys doing that.
Well, I mean, as far as like wear and tear, what's your? I don't think I like to keep. I like the idea of keeping the oil moving.
Yeah,
keeping the contaminants and
I'm not a big fan of it either. I think if you're one of those people who keeps your vehicles long term, it's not going to be good. You're going to end up burning through starters, and I could be wrong. It's just that's just my opinion, right? Hey, Richard. So Richard says that's what I do. I do my first oil change at 1,000 miles. Well, it's good to know I'm not the only one that does that. So, and I think you'll see a lot of us old school guys are of that mindset, right? Get that first 1,000 miles and change it. Even though, you know what, again, it's probably not necessary, but it's just something that we've kind of grown up with, right? Richard says, and then 3,000 after that, or once a year, I'll put 3K as with my Camaros.
Yeah. That's not bad.
What about the dynamic control that changes 4 down to 2?
Change it 8. What?
Yeah, I read something about that. I think it's down to 4. I don't think it's to 2. No, maybe it is. I think I remember reading that somewhere where it goes to 8 to 4 to 2 or something. But
double damn, that's what I gotta say.
It's, you know what? There's enough proof out there now with AFMs and DFMs and the Cadillac, 468s that it doesn't work. And what happens? I've watched enough videos where it shows the cylinders when they're turned off. And those rings are the first ones to go. The cylinders that deactivate on a regular occurrence are the ones where the rings tend to go sooner than the rest of them.
They have the most carbon buildup.
But My 07 went 255,000 miles, original motor, original transmission, and it managed to live to, it was, when did I get rid of that truck? 22. So yeah, it was, it was 15 years old. It was the original motor in it, and it didn't burn a ton of oil, but I did run thicker oil in it because the lifter would get noisier every once in a while. And
was it close to 2 quarts every 1,084 miles?
No, I probably, you know what? Honestly, I probably went through a quart every oil change.
Yeah, right.
255,000 miles, I'd say that's pretty good.
I still swear to this day, the most reliable engine that GM has made, front wheel drive, is the 3800 Series 2.
Oh yeah, you can't kill the 3.8. No. The 3.8 and the Iron Duke are probably the two most reliable engines that they made. Right?
Yes, sir. MPG and what? MPG and what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's why they designed DFM to shut off different cylinders. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were getting carbon buildup and it was causing all kinds of freaking problems. So yeah, I see what he's saying. I did hear about them, but as far as I'm aware, you're a lot better off if you just go through and just delete the whole thing. Even if the system's turned off, like on my SS1LE, it was turned off, but still, all these performance shops, every shop I talk to recommends just going in and just gutting the whole system. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other animal, that direct injection. I've said in many of my videos, right?
I love it now.
How, they are great because they make the motors more fuel efficient, but
yes,
the direct injection motors, they require, the oil changes are key, and keeping that fuel system is key, because I don't know if you've ever looked inside, for those who are not big into to engines and cars and stuff. If you've never seen inside of an intake, what direct injection can do to your intake, it fouls it up pretty good. So you need to run a fuel
intake valve. Yeah.
Because it gums it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right. Where another thing about having an older truck, like my truck's 10 years old, it's got port injection. So I don't have those problems.
Yep. Right? No, that's kind of where I think
they try to make it sound like, well, the new trucks, they get about a mile per gallon better than mine does. And they got DFM, and they've got cylinder deactivation, and they've got direct injection, and my 15's got port injection and no cylinder deactivation, and it gets a mile per gallon less than they do.
The entire thing is under 600 horsepower. You're worried about efficiency. You're not going to see, you know what I mean? Until you really have to worrying about the fuel vapor occupying the volume inside the intake runner. Until it comes down to that, I mean, I think port injection is just fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do love the direct injection, the Gen 5, because of other design methods. But when do you think that we're going to be seeing this new V8, Mark?
I was hoping later this year. I was hoping we'd get some sort of.
Well, I read an article on GM Authority where they're dragging NASCAR Camaro, the new design, the new body design.
Yeah.
The tape. So I think it's going to be peanut butter and jelly, yin and yang.
Yeah.
V8 Camaro, I think so. I don't know. We'll see. I just thought.
That's what. That's probably another good topic for another live. I've been trying not to kind of beat a dead horse with it, because
it is. Yeah. Okay.
I projected some stuff that I thought, and I had no degree of accuracy when I called it, but
yeah,
I was a little off. I thought we would have. Well, it is only 2025. I mean, I thought we would have seen something by now initially.
Yeah. What do you mean, Chris? He just said, I say when the new design Sierra Silverado. What do you mean by that, bud?
27, I think that's when it is, isn't it? 27, the redesign coming out.
I don't know. That's why I was asking him what he meant by that.
That's when you'll see the new motor.
Because they did say it was made for the trucks. But
Yeah.
I mean, dude, look at the 6.2. They got it in everything now, so it'll fit. It'll fit.
Yeah, I think 27 is when they're supposed to come up with a new
I
design.
think in a crazy scheme to make money, I think that they'll make it fit.
I think that's when Ford and GM are both coming out with their redesign. The 15th, I think, is 27, I think.
Hmm.
But, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think, I don't know. Do you think it'll be a pushrod engine? I think it will be.
I sure hope it is. I sure hope. I don't know. I mean, the flat plane 5.5. That's going to be an interesting design in the LT6. I sure hope, because that in the performance world, because that's what I'm worried about. I know that you guys are longevity, reliability, but as far as like the performance world goes, that's our only chance at catching the Coyote. So Ford's design with the 4-valve dual overhead cam, that's going to be our only chance. So, but I hope we get both. I'm just saying, I hope on my wish list, I was going to come full circle on that, Mark, and say that new V8, I hope we get a tiny bit of port injection just to wash off.
I'm trying
just to
to
wash off that valve.
I'm trying to think the last time GM did an overhead cam V8. I think it was
I don't
Cadillac.
think it would work well in a truck.
I don't think it's ever worked well for GM. Period. I think Cadillac
I don't think it would work
North
well in
Star
a
was an
truck.
overhead V8. Overhead.
The only
cam
truck I
V8.
knew that had one was a dual overhead cam 32 valve V8.
It was North Star.
It was the Lincoln Navigator.
No, I thought about GM.
I don't know. I don't think I think the last V8 dual overhead cam was the 90 to 90. Was that the early 90s ZR1?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, but North Star after that. But North Star was a bit of a disaster.
I'd have to double check on that. Never was a Cadillac fan, but kind of looking back on things, I probably should have been.
This is why the 6.2 liter naturally aspirated engines are so popular, reducing engine down to the size of lawnmowers. It's not materialized in the answer performance. No, I agree, but unfortunately, that's.
Chris, do you really think that they would put a DOHC in a truck? Do you think that would work?
Well, they're doing it now with the 2.7s.
Yeah. Maybe, man. I don't know. Maybe.
Right? I was trying to think of double overhead cam V8. The last.
I think it's going to be hell on wheels if they put boost on it, though.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, dude. Like, you think about it, if they can get it down right, okay, that's the big drawback. Okay, I'm not knocking the 5.3 or the 6.2.
No, right.
Forget the 6.2 for a second. That 5.3 will run out of steam at about 5,000 RPM. Okay.
A dual over cam
doesn't start to come to life until 4,500 RPM.
That one.
That Coyote will into 7,500 RPM.
Oh, or more. They're all going almost to 10.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just saying in extreme. But I mean, the once they put boost on them, we have a hard time catching them. You know what I mean? With our push rod.
I don't know.
And let me ask you this: as a manufacturer, General Motors itself, because I mean, you have a lot of contacts and ties, and you've done a lot of research. How much do you think that they actually give a shit about the aftermarket?
I think they used to. I don't think they so much anymore.
I mean, when they design these cars, do you think that they intend or rely on people modifying them? or do you hope that they keep them stock?
Again, I think they used to. I think now, you know,
They just do whatever, and whatever happens. Is that
I think now
damn?
because they realize how much money's there. We're seeing the big three become more and more involved in offerings direct from the dealerships, right? Maybe not so much on the GM side, but certainly on the Ford side. That's why you're seeing the performance tunes. You can buy the performance tunes right off. You can buy them off the website.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
GM has tinkered a little bit in that game. I think they used to be like
Have
that.
they?
I don't think they care anymore. Right. I think they
It's a big business for them not to give a shit.
Yeah.
That one. Wouldn't you like to know? It says power per liter. Ford has proven it can work. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like Ford has been doing it for a while, so they figured out a lot of their mistakes, and then some of them they haven't fixed them. I'll tell you, because I follow the Ford stuff too, because of the truck and all that. They still have a lot of problems with VCTs, and they're still a problem after making that motor for 14 years now. And it's, the 4.6 wasn't much different than the 5 liter. So it's actually been longer than that because the architecture came from the Panther platform. So, the Panther platform's been around since what, 06, 07? So they've had a few years, but GM
Talking about like the
I'm
is that
talking
the
about
old two valve Romeo?
I'm talking about the Panther platform, and then the Coyote
Yeah.
coming from the Panther platform, right? Where
Yeah.
GM knows that push rod design, is it can work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And yourself, you look at that LS7, right? Like look at the power that LS7 puts out.
Oh yeah.
Out of a push
That
rod.
thing's a thumper.
So they don't tend to veer from what I think they know what works. LT7, I'm sure they learned something during that.
I'm sure that they learned. Yeah, they learned a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, in last summer, I think it was, I was watching another thing where Justin White was saying the weakness in the flat plane crank. Since then, I think we've kind of backwalked on that, but I mean, if that ZR1, I mean, if that motor holds together, the thing's going to be a freaking force to be reckoned with, because that there's more on the table than just that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is it? 97 or something?
What, 1,000? Yeah, something like that. 1,064, I think, is what the number was. But yeah, it's a lot more than what your average person should be tossed the keys to. I mean, for sure. But I don't know.
And honestly, and that's what I like about it. That that LSX, LTX, whatever Gen 5, Gen 2, not so much the Gen 2, but the newer ones, right?
Yep.
They're all pretty much the same, right? And they are one of the easiest motors to modify, to pull apart, to put back together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was what they caught like fire was. You were saying before the EPA stepped in, whereas they were supposed to be the Legos for V8. You know what I mean? You're supposed to have interchangeable parts. You can swap the heads. LS was this, you could put LS3 heads on an LS2. Blah blah blah. Don't hold me to this.
Yeah, what you're saying.
I mean, you know what I'm saying. And that was kind of the modularity that Ford did it with the 4.6, that 281 cubic inch. With the 5.4, and you could swap parts here or swap parts. They had the WAP block, they had the Texid block, and they had the, you know what I'm saying? They had the Romeo, I think was the other one. And I supposedly you're supposed to be in it, but just like you said, the EPA came in and pissed in everybody's Cheerios and just made everything more difficult. But in theory, but yeah, I think like he's saying, with the LT7 that they learned something in that throughout that developing that I think it was called a Gemini engine. I think we're going to be seeing that in the future. I think there's going to be some trickle down technology.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be double overhead cam.
I'm okay either way.
I'm okay
either way.
I think it'll be a push rod engine.
That's where I'm at.
I think it'll be a push rod. I mean, that was part of the fear when I got this truck was I was so used to that platform that I really didn't know much about the Coyote platform, and it's there's a lot more to go wrong inside that motor than
the Coyote is it's force. It's a nasty. It's a wicked little engine per liter. It's no denying it.
But you like it when you mash on the pedal and it does what you want it to pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. The consumers, you got 8 cylinders, and per hole they're demanding more boom, bigger, more power, bigger boom out of each hole. Year after year after year, which it's I am going to go into it. Like you said, that's probably better off at a different stream. But yeah, I think that as far as like the problems and crap, I think I think like I said, it's going to be the company's approach on how they take care of the customer. It says, luckily, the EPA may not be such as an it's foreseeable. Yeah, because I mean, with Trump coming in, everything got deregulated. The EV mandate got taken off the table. That was blown to smithereens. So now they're walking back the parts per million, which the carbon footprint, I can't remember what date, or I don't even know if it's set in stone just yet, but they're walking it back quite a ways to lower the standard. So that means Dodge is bringing the Hemi back. The V8. I just don't see how. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't see how the 7th gen Camaro is not gonna be gas, but I guess it's to be seen. I guess that's interesting. I don't think I've ever asked you, Mark. Do you think that the 7th gen Camaro is going to be gas or electric?
Well, I think you have, and I think that
okay.
At one time I would give you one answer, and now I may give you another one. Because at one time GMB used to be very predictable, and now with all those people or most of those people who have left, they're less predictable than they used to be. So what we could see coming, we may not see coming anymore. I don't know. I think that they've intentionally waited. This is the predictable part. GM is usually the last to come out with something new for a reason. Yeah. It's intentional. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
you're right. You're right on that. You're right.
They watch what's going on with the Charger. They watch the trends that's going on with the Mach 1 or the Mach E, sorry.
Yep.
They watch the trends that's going on with the Mustang. Right? And
usually it's 4 they follow.
Yeah. So I don't know. At one time I was going to say both. Now I'm not really sure.
I don't think they have the budget for both.
I honestly don't even know if we will see it come back at this point, but we know.
Oh yeah.
We know. Well, I say that because, Mustang numbers are taking a shit beating. It's the unfortunately the pony car market is shrinking.
So, I think it's going to change here real soon.
I don't know. I think they're closely watching to see what's going on with this Charger.
Well, Mary, if you see this, you know the right decision. Make it. Gas. Let's go.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's going to sell. If they make it an EV, it's going to be financial suicide. Period.
I think that
It's kamikaze mission.
necessarily they have the platform, right? The good thing is they have that platform. They can put anything they want on that platform. It's less money to put a Camaro on that platform, right? Because it's the same platform, whether it's a Blazer or if it's a, I think the Hummer's on the same. I mean, the Hummer, the Blazer, they're all on the same platform, right? They're on that whatever that platform's called. So it'd be less money to put it on that platform. You just have the cost of building the body and doing all the R&D on that.
I just don't. I don't see the consumer backing it.
They're just. You know what? They're just. I don't know.
Did you hear about the Charger EV, or what do they call that thing? I think they only sold like 1,900.
Yeah,
way under what they
the guys I follow on YouTube, he's got one.
Yeah,
and he's had a lot of problems with it.
Yep. But I guess that they're having a problem with it bricking.
Yeah,
it just locks up.
That's what happened to his. It bricked.
Yep. And so they sold like 1,900, and that's way less than so they pulled it, yanked it. They're like done.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what? I think it's a fantastic looking car. It's looks wise. I think they did a great job looks wise. Interior, they did a fantastic in the interior, but it's just the whole electric thing. Like it's so many problems with it charging, it breaking down. The fake exhaust, the fake exhaust is kind of cliche. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that's a joke. Yeah.
It is a joke. You're right. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break.
Wouldn't you like to know Yep. Yeah. That sums it up. If it had to be an emoji, that's the fucking one. Yep.
Yeah. So I just don't think they're as dependable as they used to be. You know what I mean? Like it's
what? I said it was a dead technology before it started.
I think it's still coming.
No one fucking listen. What?
I think it's still coming. What's it gonna look like? I don't know, man. I think
the Camaro 7.
I think they need to do something. Yeah, I think they need to do something.
Alpha 2 platform. They've already got it.
Well, that's what I said. Like, I don't know why this car couldn't carry on under the Alpha 2 platform.
Yes, sir. It can. Alpha 2 platform, modify it a little bit, just like they did the original one.
Building cars. See, this is where you're going to get me going, and we need to do this in another video. But
okay, all right, yeah, we do need to wind it down.
If you're building cars, being the Cadillac, why the fuck would you not just keep making the Camaro? Because the platform's still there. You're still building cars. So why would you not, lessen that expense? But I mean, I don't know. Clearly, there's smart people.
Let me get Mary Bear on the phone. Look. I mean, why would you announce a 2024 model year and then run it for 90 days and shut it down? You shut it down before the actual year 2024. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. There was a lot of shit that happened that I don't understand. But I think that we got faith. I think that we got you got a smart.
I was just gonna say that. I think what? Like, I think the writing's on the wall that Mary's getting pressure that she needs to go. And a lot.
Should I do a video on this?
I think you should. I think a lot changes between Mary being there and Mary being gone.
Oh my God. Yes, dude.
Right?
Yes. They need the Camaro now more than ever with the mid-engine core. Yes, exactly. Because I'm telling you guys, the one thing I hate about mid-engine layout, period, the whole platform, if you get into a fucking spin, it's damn near impossible to work yourself out of it. With the front engine, with the longitudinal in the transmission in the middle, rear diff out back, you can work your way out of it. You can pedal your way out of it. You can save it. With I mean, ask the UGR or Sissio or whoever, the guys at the track. You get a Huracan or whatever into a tailspin. You're just along for the ride, and you hope that you fucking make it, and you hope that you know what I mean. I don't. I'm not seeing it, man. I mean, I think with the go ahead.
I don't know that I would like to see it as a mid-engine car, but I think that's what Mike's saying is bring it back as a mid-engine car. I don't know if I want to see it as a mid-engine car.
Well, I think it's going to be the yin and yang. I think if you keep it front engine, transmission exactly how it was, now you have options. You have options that it's kind of like the Ford deal. You know what I mean? They got the GT and the Mustang, but it's going to be a better GT cruiser car. It's going to be more comfortable. It's going to be a better, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a lot easier to work on. And yeah, I mean, as long as I can, I'm sticking with what I got. Richard, yeah. Well, I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, because everybody knows where I stand because I have grabbed 2 handfuls of hair and I've drug her through the mud so many fucking times. What's your standpoint on her position and her decisions and what she's done with the company and thus far? Excluding my opinion. I mean, what's your very own opinion?
I think that everybody says Mary's a car guy or Mary's a car person.
Yeah,
she is, but she also realizes where her butter's or where her bread's buttered, and GM's in a pretty good spot right now.
No, they're not.
Well, in the markets they are.
What's that?
Like market share and what their stock price is. I mean, Mary's all about the stock price.
Well, yeah, I mean, shareholders kissing shareholders' ass and making sure that they feel good. That seems to be what she's been laser focused on.
But I was just gonna say, like, ask guys like Richard and Andrew. Well, there's Andrew's answer, or sorry, there's Richard's answer. I'm not. I haven't bought a new GM for a reason. Let's put it that way.
Nah, dude, I'm done. After I dropped the glove box on my Z01 and I saw all that shit, I was like, oh my God, stop the bus and let me off. I don't want on this. I don't want, you know what I mean? So wasted a lot of money.
That being said,
what?
I'm
gonna drive my Grand Prix till the wheels fall off. I believe in that platform.
Cal doesn't want to replace her car. I want to replace her car. And what I want to replace her car with, I like some of it, but I don't like all of it. I'm not, like I'm looking at a Trax or an Invista, and unfortunately it's not made in North America, but it wouldn't be the first time I've bought a Korean car, and they're good cars.
Yeah.
I just not a big fan of that engine, that 1.3 turbo. I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
But I've done enough reviews on those cars. I've done enough, I mean, on my Kelmar channel. I've done reviews on those cars, and you know what? They ride beautifully, and they're cheap, so but like my Sonic is I got 37 miles to the gallon. It's got 65,000 miles on it, and it's 12 years old.
Wouldn't you like to know? Was that Fox News? I'm sorry. I'm just. He said he saw a news video that Mary is realizing that EVs aren't for everyone. Then was bashed by the reporter. Sorry, it was great. Yeah. Was that Fox News? I just have to ask him that because I yeah. I saw that. That was fucking fantastic. Because I mean, I kind of felt like I was hopping on my soapbox and screaming, and I kind of felt like I was the only one. And then to hear it's validated that she just kind of runs the company like a gust in the wind was a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Well, again, I'm not. It's funny because I don't know. There is a part of me that has some interest in maybe buying an electric Equinox. I don't think I would actually do it because they're, in my opinion, they're way overpriced. Like 50 up here, they're 55 grand for electric Equinox. But
And
I
you
drove.
said
I
you
drove
drove one?
fantastic. They're awesome. But they're $55,000.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think that car should cost?
40. It's made in Mexico.
I think it should be sub 40.
And no, the Trax is made in the no, it's not SIAC. It's made in a South Korea plant.
Shut the fuck up. Is it really?
The Track, the Invista, the Tracker, the Encore are all made in South Korea.
Whoa. Not for long. They're gonna have to be made here in America because those tariffs are gonna kill that car.
Well, you know what? Honestly, that was part of the reason why I took my break, because there was so much going on with him and this and that, and I didn't want to listen to it. I didn't want to be part of the politics. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know how I am. Like, I keep politics out of my channel for a reason, because we're never going to agree on the same thing, right?
Well, yeah, no.
And
I'm just saying the tariffs and then building. There's a lot of auto manufacturers, because I mean, they did a thing saying Ford has 80% of their vehicles made in America, and they never left. I was just like, kind of.
Well, I think that people need to realize is that, yes, we have plants up here, okay, and we need cars built up here, for our economy.
Right.
Now, one could be upset about, all the Challengers and all the Chargers are built up here. All of them.
In Brampton?
They're all built in Brampton.
Yep.
I used to live 5 minutes from that plant. I could walk to that plant. That's how close I live to it. And some could be upset about by that. And I could understand that. But to be upset because the trucks are built here and built down there and built in Mexico. Well, a majority of the Canadian trucks don't come south unless they come through the auction once, you know what I mean? Once they've been resold.
Right.
But new, here's the funny thing, okay? I would like to know how many of you have seen a pickup truck, a 2G pickup truck down there that's brand new. You'll see ones and threes. You won't see too many twos. We're up here. We see one, twos, and threes. And for those of you who don't know, the first number of your VIN indicates where it's built. So in the US, it's 1. In Canada, it's 2. If it starts with a 3G, it's built in Mexico. And I was going to mention this earlier, that the Mexican trucks get a lot of hate because that's where we've seen a lot of the problems, right? The latest one was, that I recall, is the rear end tolerances seem to be different in the 3G trucks than they do in the 1s and 2s. And I don't understand that, because those diffs are all made in the same plant and shipped to the plants, right? So I don't know if the tolerance is,
yeah,
I don't know if the tolerance is outside the diff between the rear yoke and the drive shaft, but that's where we've seen a lot of problems. Most of them I've read the 3G trucks seem to have rear end problems, and I don't know if it's related to the yoke or if it's in the actual rear end. But those rear ends are all built in the same plant and then shipped across North America.
Wouldn't you like to know?
1, 2, 3 sitting on lots. I mean, if I'm going to look at a new truck, it's the first thing I look at. I want to see where it's built. Because if it's built in Mexico, and I mean, I didn't have a choice when I had my Avalanche because they were all built in Mexico, but I have a choice now. If I'm going to buy a new truck, preferably I'm going to hope it says 2, but I'm not going to turn it down if it says 1.
Yeah. Chris said he's never seen a 2, and I think he's in Indiana, which is pretty close to you guys. Yeah.
It's like the 5th gens, right? All the 5th gen Camaros were built up here, just like all the 6th gens were built down there. Okay. All the 5th gen Camaros started with a 2 because they were all built up here. I don't even know what my point was. My point is that
if you were going to buy one, it was going to be a 2.
Yeah, I'm not running out to buy a new Ford either. There's no reason for me. I thought a couple times in the last couple of years about trading my truck and then buying a new GM, and then I think about what I have versus how much I got to spend to get the same. It's like it cost me a lot of money. It's gonna cost me a lot of money, like north of 80.
So, yeah, that's too much. But I mean, it goes deeper than that for me, and I'll explain it in a video. But I just don't have any interest in the new market. I just don't. Morpheus said EVs are great concept, but we're not ready for them technology. I mean,
I've kind of said that we need to find a way. We need to find a way to make the batteries last longer and have the regen and the charging faster. And the technology to regen them is there. I just don't know why they don't exercise it. But the charging part, that's the big thing, right? And it's funny.
Well, 800. What? How many volts are they running?
I think most of the.
Because Porsche said the butter zone is 800.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think most of it is 800 volt.
Yeah, technology. I feel like I need a shower talking about these, but the Porsche said the butter zone or Goldilocks zone for discharge as far as performance and recharge as far as charge time is 800 volts. If everybody can get on the 800 volt architecture or the platform, it would be a lot better. But I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Like, they build these trucks or cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in that business. Okay, I'm in that business. So, it's nothing to put chargers in a parking lot and put a transformer on it. Okay.
Yeah. And
it'll charge your car fairly quick that way. But at home, you get that new Silverado. I forget what the battery size is, but it's like 200 and oh Jesus, I want to say it's 240 kilowatts. Unless you install an 80 amp charger, you're going to be days charging it, because even at 80 amp charger, you're only 20 kilowatts an hour. That's 10 hours to charge that battery in that Silverado.
From zero.
Now that's Silverado. The Equinox would be a little faster, but my point is you need the 80 amp charger at home to get, 9, in my opinion, 9 hours. Okay, fine, is at home. But I'd like to see it where, that the normal is 4 hours at home. Right? Because 800 volt architecture, look at Electrify America. I think Electrify America's big thing is 350 kilowatts, but it costs you a fortune.
Right. To switch everything over.
That's what needs to be fixed.
I think what Morpheus just said was the battery degradation on lithium batteries is way too high. And because even they're breaking them down into modules.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, they're having problems with even the, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks, sir. Have a good night, bud.
Here soon.
That Richard, I like him. He's got some good shit to say. I like that.
I'm on my third Mexican truck. Where am I? I'm on my third truck, but I wanted one. My second had leaf spring noise. My current has a few cosmetic flaws. Yeah, I think the 3G trucks just don't have the same build quality as the 1s and 2s. And I hate saying that, but I sent you a picture from my brochure on my Camaro with the sunshades. Okay, one sec, bro.
Forward that. Because I'm going to, that's going to be a key, because I'm going to include you guys in on something with my car as soon as I get everything up and running. And I'm going to need that.
Just carry on, Andrew. I'm trying to find this picture for Brian here.
Well, Morpheus just said, I figured a 10-year life on an EV depreciation from $100,000 EV is probably heading towards the low 30s, high 20s. With the battery replacement, the EV, it's like a guaranteed deer hit once your car approaches 100,000 miles. It's gonna total it. It's gonna junk it. It's worth nothing. And the platform that it sits on is what they claim like a skateboard. So even if they can break those batteries down into modules, if they want these things to stay on the road, they're gonna have to eat it. They're gonna have to replace them, and there's gonna have to be a better warranty on them, period. Maybe lifetime, maybe 200,000-300,000. I don't know what it's gonna take, but Morpheus is absolutely right. Yeah, because I mean, even the Tesla Plaids right now are selling for 50, 60. I mean, it depends on which one you want. Depends on which model, you know what I mean. But that was $120,000, $130,000 car. I don't know how much, with all the options all in, what they can go for, but that's ballpark about what I know starting MSRP was brand new. Fast forward a couple years, I mean, it's got Maserati-itis all over it. Boom. 50% of the value gone. So 120,000, year two later, 60,000. And then you're going to talk depreciation on top of that after the fact. And then you're going to have a $30,000 battery. They're going to be like Bic lighters. Use them up, throw them away. Use them. I mean, unless Tesla or the manufacturer's going to replace those batteries, fucking why bother? Why bother? I mean, you're only getting $10,000 tax credits when you buy the damn thing, and I mean, nah, I'll pass. Oh shit, Michael he's the man. Brain the size of a freaking watermelon, dude. I swear. Just out of left field, he comes at you with them. So now people are gonna start LS swapping EVs now. I mean, they kind of have a shot at being cool, right? I mean, I'm not above it. I mean, I'm not driving something with a fucking yoke. That's for sure. I want a wheel. I want at least a 10-inch steering wheel, but yeah, an LS or LT. That would, I mean, I think it's already been done, but if we do it on the norm, because that GM's going to be selling crate motors, they're going to be selling replacement engines. What the hell are we looking at, Mark?
I don't know. Hold on, dude.
Can you imagine a Tesla lurching forward, dude?
Mirrors, moldings.
That's exactly right. Yep.
roof.
Well, I mean, you know their Y chromosome works. Then I just
Roof
I would
panel,
gonna have
sunshade.
little respect for that fella. I mean, they're not bad looking cars. You throw a LS7 in there, maybe you got something, dude. Maybe you got something.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Roof panels, removable, tinted with locks.
Yes. Is it, what year was this?
Includes black painted roof.
What year was this?
So this would have been up to 98 because after 90, oh, sorry. This would have been Brian, what year, what brochure is it out of? Because so I know that
So
the
could you
roofs
get them in
body
93?
matched.
Could you get the sunshades in 93?
The roofs were body matched after 99.
So you could
the
still
roofs
in
in the
2002.
Huh?
You could still get them you could get them from 93 to 2002, correct or no?
That's his 97 book.
Okay. Interesting. Because the guy I was talking to said it was only available in the 98 to 02, which was 4.2. I call them 4.1, 4.2, like, you know, with the refresh or whatever.
I never seen any. I'm actually surprised that I don't remember seeing roof panels in 97.
Well, I mean, the thing is I was kind of in disbelief. I thought somebody actually bought some 98 to 02s and then rewrapped them.
No,
But it's the color degradation and the fade is too perfect for me to be like,
I don't
these are aftermarket.
roof panels. I'm surprised they're in the 97 book because I thought they would have been 93 to 95, 94.
I see that. I thought they were just the 98 to 02.
And they
So
can
maybe
be.
they were.
They might be an option up to 02, but I didn't think
Maybe we need to ask on.
They weren't a popular option, I'll tell you that, because most
They
guys
weren't.
threw them out.
They were or were not.
They weren't a popular option. Those sunshades were not a popular option.
That's what I mean. I went through this build sheet and this car was kind of loaded. I'm surprised it didn't turn out to be a SS.
If you got a picture of the sunshades, put that picture up.
What's that?
Have you got a picture of those sunshades that you can put up?
I don't. I'm going to show them to you guys when I.
You had that on your channel, right?
What's that?
You had a picture of those on your channel, right?
No.
I thought, well, where did I see it?
I texted them to you. I thought.
You did? Oh, maybe.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, maybe.
Hang on.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh, you got. I can't see.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But see how the fade is like so freaking perfect with him.
Yeah. All right.
For being 30 years old. Anyways, I really appreciate that. That is awesome. Waterborne basebook clear coat. Are you sure that this is from 97? That can't be. $215 6016. What? 235. Oh, maybe there were 235s. Yes, yeah. Wouldn't you like to know says, are we talking about the headliner pieces for the T-tops? Yes. With the tinted glass, there was a lot of people complaining that it was like being under a magnifying glass and that your head was getting fucking baked. So they I don't know when that complaint came about, but I guess GM came up with these freaking liners and they're just like I don't know if they're ABS plastic or they're cardboard or whatever, but they just slip right in and it turns your T-tops, the see-through T-tops into a solid. So yeah, it's pretty slick. I didn't even know they existed. And then somebody was like, "Holy shit, you got those the covers?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "I've never seen them before." And this color, the interior color that I have, started in 90. I'll have to go back and look, but I think it started 96 was the first year, 96, and it carried over into 4.2. And yeah, I guess it's turned out that they're a rare thing. So the car's got a lot of miles on it, but somebody's taken the time to preserve it. I mean, there's a couple missing pieces. I'm gonna show you guys everything. I just need to get this damn heating problem fixed. And I also posted a picture of, I found like a fucking wire that belongs in a house. I think somebody was trying to rig up the cooling fan, like a manual switch, like what Chris was talking about. But I'm not sure. So I'm just kind of taking everything down to bare bones, kind of engineering everything, or reverse engineering everything and dissecting and trying to go through the process of elimination, what it's going to take to get it to stand on its own 2 feet using the factory system. Because I have to start at step 1. That way I know going forward. So
Where the hell did that picture go? Why you have those in a TA? I don't remember them being in a TA. What did I do? They're just fillers. I'm trying to send a picture.
Yeah, but they're super nice. Once you use them, it's like, oh shit, these kind of would actually come in real handy.
Oh, now it's coming through.
What?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so since you dropped it, double damn, Mark. You see the headliner? This is my car. So you see how the headliner's peeling off because they all did it. They all did it. So that was part of the reason I wanted a car with miles on it, because it doesn't matter if it's got 10 miles on it or 10, a fucking million. They're all 30 years old. That foam degrades. The glue lets go. You know what I'm saying? Now, yeah, exactly. Yeah. None of my cars had them either, Chris. So, yeah, that's, what do they call that? They call that color natural beige. I'm going to show you guys the car, but I don't know in 2025 if that color combo works. Because I didn't just want like the black charcoal cloth seats. You know what I'm saying? I had so many of those. It was like the same thing over and over. Damn, dude. The same thing over and over. So I kind of wanted something different.
It's funny. I remember parting cars out with those interiors in them.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wanted the caramel interior. It was just not.
I see.
Gray and black and the occasional red, maybe.
Yep.
Black was, the big one, but now red and that camel and that caramel color, you can't get enough of them. They bring big money if you ever part.
It's I don't, and I'd have to look up some numbers to see what percentage is what, you know what I mean? But I like it almost. I think it's kind of too pale, but if you see, like, you know what I'm saying? So I want to rip it out, start all over, and I think I'm going to do something kind of on my own, but I think, I don't know. If I want to go something custom, it's a giant pain in the ass, but it could be really cool. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So we'll see. Like I said, I just need to get this cooling issue resolved. And then, yeah, we'll be.
You gotta get yourself an SS hood for it, though.
You think? I don't know. I think that it is that like taking a Camaro 6 SS and putting a Z Alt 1 bumper conversion on that. Is that the same thing? Or you know what I'm saying? Are we playing the same game there?
I don't know, dude. You know what? I love the look of them. I really do.
What's that? The shark face?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. But you know what? I got data that says
Before we go, I'll just
yeah, because
go-
I do have to roll.
I'll just show you this real quick.
Yeah,
You know what?
dude. See, I even love those fucking wheels.
Like I've been keeping my eye on this car for a bit. And I think that's where I'm going to end up going to.
Yes.
Go 4th gen. Just never had a 4th gen, but you know,
You never had a 4th gen?
No, dude. Well, that's not
Oh
true.
my
I had one for about a month.
Oh my god. If you yeah. Yeah.
Like that hood just makes the front end of that car.
It's sick. They did really good on that. On that design.
You know,
As far as the angles and the curves, yeah. I like it. I really do.
I don't know. I'll show you this one too. This is
$15,000. The ultra low mile cars down here are going for up to 40. You can find some Trans Ams that are going for like $30,000-$40,000. Which on the title, my car says $19,400 was the MSRP on that car.
There's another one. It sold.
Yeah, it's badass. I love mine. I love it. And you know, it's not cope. It's just I love it. We'll see. I mean, it needs a lot more power. The thing is fucking uber slow. It's just slow as hell. I mean, it's insane the difference, but yeah, it needs to be revived.
I think I said that, you know, one of my videos last year, like
what?
You know, about how much things have changed. I mean,
oh my god, yeah, we were driving it and I fucking nailed it. And he's like, "Don't you think that's fat?" And I'm like, "No."
Turbo 4 would give that thing a run for its money.
What's that? Oh,
like it would, right? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think it would beat it, but it would give it a run for its money.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you put enough power in it, but
a 3.6 would
natural beige.
A 3.6 would eat its lunch, but
what's that?
I said an LT would eat its lunch. A 3.6 LT would eat its lunch, but
yeah.
But you know, I mean, that's 30 years ago, right? So
that's what I'm saying. In its era, in its day.
But I will tell you, those LT ones are like the LS ones. They're all underrated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
go through it.
I bet you that LT one is still closer to. I think it's probably closer to 300 horse.
Wait. Before I go, Mike, you sold your ZL1 on Monday? Okay. All right. He's thinking about getting a 4th gen. Okay. Bro, that was wild. I thought you were going to tear into that thing and mod it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I don't know what everybody. You know what? That's the second guy I know that sold the ZL1.
What is that thing that's on your leg when you get out of jail? That they fucking follow? Is that what they call an anklet? An anklet? That beep beep, the fucking tracker thing. Yeah. That's what I feel like I'm wearing whenever I drive a new car. That's what I feel like is attached to my fucking wrist and my ankles and all necklace on it. And I get it's a bad feeling.
I just
ankle honestly, monitor.
You know, yeah. It would be. I don't. It would be. It would feel like such a step backwards coming out of that ZL1 going into a 4.
No, the freedom. And here's the thing.
I'll tell you right now, going out of my 5th gen into my 3rd gen.
I got 70 fucking thousand
riding around in the Pope Mobile because I was so used to the small windows, the low profile sitting so deep into that car, and then getting that 3rd gen, which the 4th gen isn't much different in the sense of the window size. Right, you got the big windows. It just,
really.
I don't know. It felt so different, and then the power difference, right? So, I mean, it would be a massive jump from the LT1 to the ZL1.
Well, I mean, but the thing is you guys got to think. Okay, and I'll talk about it here. Is people like 30 and under? There's this study that a lot of society 30 years of age and younger
Yeah.
are used to this shit right here, YouTube, having a camera. This thing tracks you. I
Yeah.
remember before the internet, like they don't understand what actual freedom is. Like,
Yeah.
remember when you used to say, "I'll call you when I fucking get home."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or landlines, and that's all we had. Like, there's a lot of our country doesn't understand that anymore.
Yeah.
So to me, when you're invading in on my privacy, which I feel like those cars are, and I'm paying out the ass to do it, I'm cucking myself.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. And for the average person, if you love it, do it. I'm not advocating for anybody to do like I do, because don't do like I do, because I'm not really that, But
Yeah.
anyways, I enjoy the freedom. The car is very analog. It's the car is the car. It's still got a throttle cable on a throttle body. The fucking
Yeah.
the response is instant. You know what I mean? It's just, you have to understand what the car is and appreciate it for what it is, because I think you had to live through that time in order to go back and be happy. That's what I think. But Mike says, "Oh, okay, you pulled it up. Sorry." Says, "I just wanted to simplify my life. I live in Minnesota." Dude, you're real close to me. And could really only drive it 3 to 6 months a year. Realistically, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, the thing is, well, go ahead. Sorry.
no, so all I was going to say was, like, I ended up getting my uncle's fourth gen. That's why I said I owned it for probably 3 months, not a month, but I ended up getting my uncle's 95.
Yeah.
And it had a 383 stroker in it, but the body
Yeah.
was rough on it. So I drove it for a bit, scrapped it, and sold the motor. Parted it, right? But so he stroked his 350. His LT1 made a 383 stroker, and I'm telling you, man, like what a difference that was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much to wake them up, because the LT1, the Gen 2, has the aluminum heads. I'll have to do some research, but I mean, as far as small block Chevy goes, that's like cream of the crop. Port injection, OBD2. I mean, that's the most advanced you're going to get with it. So,
Yeah.
But like I said, I just got to get this. He says, "I just want to simplify my life. I live in Minnesota." Yeah, realistically, yeah. I'm going to tell you right now that ZL1, as far as traction control and driving in the snow, if you choose to do that, that was the best car for it. But I understand a lot of people have a hard time biting that, but I don't give a shit. I don't have really a whole lot of respect for. It's a car. I bought it to enjoy it and drive it, so I'm gonna try to drive it 360. What's that?
That's where I'm kind of at too. I mean, I was
yeah.
heavily criticized for driving mine in the wintertime, but I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like,
Fuck the next dude.
You know, if you're good enough, if you can afford to leave it in the garage for 8 months a year, then that, you know, hey, all the power to you. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, I don't judge.
You know, and I bought it to drive. You know.
Yeah.
So does it make me
Burley?
Whatever. I don't care.
If anybody follows Mike Burley, he just texted me today. He texted me here. That psycho. He texted me. So it was Halloween of 2024 when he put it away, and he just got it out today. It still doesn't even have 1,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
He's a different breed, man. But hey.
Well, and I think
I couldn't do it.
I think from Mike, Mike's a big supporter of the channel, and
yeah,
this is for Mike. I think it's, like Mike's car was one of the ones that got stolen out of the plant. We did a video on it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how Mike ended up coming to follow the channel. I covered it on a video, and Mike's like, "Yeah, that was my car." I'm like, "What? Come on, seriously?"
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. The picture the picture that I took for the thumbnail, that was his car.
Yeah.
So when he got an opportunity to get another one, brand new. He was like, okay, well, so I think it means that much more to him, right? So
Yeah, part of the story. But good job, Mike. I agree. I mean, $70,000. I mean, it's a massive jump, but if you can find a Trans Am, dude, those things are. Don't you agree that the 4th gen 98 to 02 Trans Am LS, those are like where it's at?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I support you, buddy. I support you. I think you're on the right path. But holy shit, that shocked me. I thought you'd have that forever.
Want to go a notch above that? Get a Firehawk. It doesn't have. I mean, I think that big nostrils is what makes that car, but
yeah, 400 horsepower. Even back in the day, that was a lot.
Those big nostrils is what makes the look of that car. But the Firehawk has slightly, less aggressive nostrils, but and it's got a bit more.
And it's gonna keep its value. Yeah.
So I think we should cut it off here because I got Rosie to relax for a little bit, but she's kind of run out of patience. And
I think we're all at the end of our rope. But this is a good stream. I think
you know what? I appreciate everybody sticking around.
Yeah.
For 2 hours and
these guys are cool as fuck.
I only want to do an hour of this, but it always seems to go this way, and I'm okay with it as long as you guys are getting some value out of it. That's what's important to me.
Yep, that's what we do it for.
So,
yeah,
but
all right,
we should probably do another one. We should probably do another one.
I'm down anytime, Mike. Yeah, WS6
or on the next Camaro, I guess.
Okay,
getting
all
that
right.
again.
Well,
but you should honestly. If I were you, I would start doing more content on that car.
I promise Monday I'll be out in the garage.
Just and what you think may be not that important. The guy. A lot of the people love that shit, following you along in the journey of.
Everybody's telling me to video document everything I'm doing, but
that's what I mean.
I just don't think a lot of people are going to give a fuck about these cars, especially the younger crowd. I just don't think.
Oh, dude.
You know what I'm saying? I just don't think
they're out there. They just don't follow you and I a lot, which I'm not sure why, but
yeah.
I mean, I can understand because you're just getting into the older stuff now, but I've always kind of been in that space.
Yeah.
And I'm just starting to attract some of them now. So, but yeah, I mean, if you go searching on the 4th gen stuff, the guys are getting the views.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll give it a shot.
There. If the views are there, the interest is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So.
Okay. Well.
Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us. 2 hours.
Subscribe. Do the thing. Click, click, click. You know what to do.
Like and subscribe. Make sure you go over to Andrew's channel and show him some love. And I will put the link into the description or in the chat again. And you can go over and
interesting.
And
interesting. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that.
Most of what I see on the road are owned by younger ones. Yeah. Really, eh? Yeah. I think they're coming around. You've seen some of the links I did. Some of them you can get it, if you're into fixing it up and you can do it fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
You can, there's still some good deals out there to be found.
Yeah.
Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Yep. Take it easy, guys.
Right.
Have a good night.